Well, the world is a dumpster fire. Nothing here makes sense. And you vacillate between crippling fear and constant self-defense. And nothing's right and nothing's good. And you're paralyzed with grief. Don't kill yourself, just have a cup of coffee.
Welcome to Coffee Over Suicide, the dramedy podcast about mental illness and choosing life over death, one cup of coffee at a time. I'm your host, Chris Parker Howard, and I'm doing a little better since last we talked. I had kind of an interesting situation, and I guess it's up to you whether or not it's interesting, isn't it? Let me tell you what it is, and then you tell me if it's interesting. I had an issue with my medication, and so I was off of it for a little bit. Now, the thing about the modern medications is that they tend to not take quite as long to leave your system. And I know this because I looked it up to see if I was just being paranoid or if something was really off. And I got to tell you, it was very strange to go back into the darkness the way that I did. I found myself irritable, sad, tired, lazy, uninspired, angry, confused, suicidal, and afraid. I mean, all of this stuff just came crashing in. Now, could that have been withdrawal symptoms of the medicine because I didn't have it for, 3-4 days? Maybe. Could it be that I just hit one of those patches of black ice that I knew I was going to hit anyway from refusing to take the roller coaster inhibitor? Could be that. This was dark. It was terrible. And I recognized it for what it was. Regardless of where it was coming from, it was happening to me. And so I had to make myself aware of the fact that I was messed up, and I needed to handle it. I needed to focus, and I needed to work through it because it was going to end, and things were hopefully going to go back to normal. Now, for whatever reason, I still believe it was the medicine that was doing this, and I came out the other side of it, and I'm doing much, much better today. But it was a very strange situation to find myself in, because it's been a long time since I found myself kind of dependent upon something to help me manage my chemicals. And I got a little resentful about it, to be honest. I did. I felt like, my brain should work normally on its own. It should. It's not fair. And you know what? My chemical imbalance doesn't give a flying fuck whether it's fair or not. And it's not out to hurt me. It just is what it is. I mean, this is just where we are, me and my dumb brain. So what am I going to do? Say, it's not fair that I broke my leg. It's not fair that I was born with, 5 fingers instead of 8 fingers. It's not fair that I'm not 6'6". What the fuck is fair? What is it? There only is what is. Fair is an abstract concept that we came up with. And we tell each other all the time, like we're owed something in general. The fact of the matter is, whatever you got is what you got. It's completely up to you to do something with it. So my brain is not making the right chemicals on its own. Store-bought's fine. And you know what? I can tell you this. I have to reluctantly admit, I function a lot better when the medicine's helping my brain work right. Now, I've answered the great thought experiment. If I was stranded on a desert island with no medication, would I survive myself? Yeah. Yeah, I would. It would just be harder. I'd probably find days where I get a lot less done. I'd probably be harder to be around. I'd be a more difficult person. I'd be easier to anger and agitate. I don't want that. You know, I want to be the best version of myself I can be. So, I'm going to do everything that I can that makes sense to make that happen. And if I'm falling short as a human being, that is to say, if I'm not actively trying to be better, if I'm not helping myself do the work of being better, then that's on me. You have to be in charge of how you react to yourself. It's the only thing that you've got any sort of control over. And you know what? You're allowed to make mistakes, but you're not allowed to quit. That's the whole point of all of this. And that leads me into today's guest. As you may remember from the first time we talked, he had quite a lot to say about what it was like to grow up with what would be considered a disability by a lot of people. But it's just a difference, really. At least that's how I see it. I could be wrong. You know, I don't want to dismiss anybody's situation. But I'll tell you what, I love talking to this guy. I love his passion and his dedication to trying to help people and do what's right. And you know what? I even love the attitude. You know, he gets real fired up, and he gets me fired up too. And I fucking love talking to this guy. Chris Mercer is back for round 2. And we opened the conversation with some real fire, especially if you've been paying attention to what's going on in Denver politics right now. Yeah, we get into it a little bit. But let's see what's going on with Chris Mercer.
So, did you and like hear about the about 300 not being passed? I mean, obviously, like
yeah, that was absolutely unbelievable. The way that you know, it was almost insult to injury that the mushrooms thing passed, and 300 went down the tubes like in flames. People said straight up, fuck no to that. And overwhelmingly were like, let's decriminalize mushrooms, which is fine, great. I mean, decriminalize it. Decriminalize everything. You know, write people a ticket, but don't send them to jail. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's fine. It's a step forward for progress. But but honestly, the homeless issue is a much bigger, more important issue.
Yes.
And allowing people the dignity of just fucking living, just existing.
Yes.
If they're not doing anything else wrong, if they're not causing a problem for anybody, if they just need somewhere to fucking sleep, give them somewhere to sleep.
Exactly. And so I would be a bigger fan of the shrooms and thing if, like, say it was legalized entirely, because what they're going to do is because there's still a lot of systematic racism, is they'll pick and choose who and like to a ticket and who to get in trouble and then give other people slaps on the wrist.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You have a lot of the trans people getting in trouble, a lot of homeless people, a lot of POCs, and wow, some random white guy. Oh, you have a shrooms? It's cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. But that's the way it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been that way.
I mean, it's still going on with a pot. Like, we still have people in the state of Colorado who got arrested years ago over a pot charge who are still in fucking prison. Like, I don't know why there hasn't been a pardon with something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slap in the face to the residents of Colorado who wound up in prison in like 2010 or some shit over pot, over like an excess amount of pot. Wow. I can go into a dispensary at any point and just buy it now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's
and the dispensaries are all owned by like wealthy white people.
Yep. Yep.
And some for me, and I think there are laws that prevent it from being owned by people out of state. I think I'm not entirely sure how that works out, but
I'm not sure either. I've never really looked into that.
God, I would hope so, because that would be an insult to injury right there. That would just be that would be a bridge too far for me.
I'm pretty sure that Philip Morris though has a pot fields in like Richmond.
Yeah. The tobacco companies are just biding their time.
Yeah, like
and the thing is, I would much rather see the tobacco companies get involved in marijuana than tobacco. But at the same time, I wouldn't, because they would put all of that corporate nonsense
the ad
into it. They would use it to hurt people.
The capitalism, they would market it to kids, like and. Not that I have an issue with, I guess, a 16-year-old smoking pot. I mean, my drummer is 16 and he smokes weed. But
he's a drummer.
But when you're directly marketing something like that to an underage group of people who can get in trouble, like. First off, it seems like the corporations, which they obviously do, are going with like trying to help out the government with like, okay, let's market this illegal substance to kids because and certain people under 18 or 21 cannot smoke cigarettes or pot, but if a kid gets caught, let's just fine their parents.
Yeah.
And keep money in the state. Like, it's I may be overthinking it, but like.
I think it's about hooking people when they're young to create lifelong slaves to your product.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, obviously that too, with like the nicotine and
for sure,
everything they put in it, and then those old Joe cool ads and the fucking Marlboro man.
Oh my God, I used to love cigarettes. God damn, I used to love cigarettes, especially with a cup of black coffee. Just cigarettes and coffee that was my favorite thing in the world. I haven't smoked in like 10 years now, and it's amazing. Like every now and again, I'll just see somebody smoking and going, yeah, that looks great.
That's exactly why I can't be around people who get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I've had friends in Denver and the Denver music scene too who have done like dope and like around me, and I'm like, oh shit. That looks real appealing, but I also remember everything it did. So you and I can't talk anymore. I'm sorry. You have a great day.
Yeah, have fun with that. I'm glad that you're managing, but
managing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of where I am too. I you know, if I see somebody smoking cigarettes, it's just kind of like, yeah, it is a little different. Obviously, it's very different. Because I remember what it was like to go through the withdrawals.
Yeah.
Luckily, with harder drugs, I never got in too deep with them, and so I didn't have to experience a rock bottom with those.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I did have a rock bottom with cigarettes.
So, what people don't tell and like you about cigarettes is nicotine is more addictive than like heroin and caffeine and like any illicit drug like meth, coke, heroin, etc. Nicotine is way more addictive, and that's why it's so hard to quit to smoke and like smoking. I smoke.
Yeah.
But
that's a rough one, right?
It's harder than quitting heroin, and I'm not trying to negate anything that anyone has been through, because I've been through the heroin and withdrawal, but like every time I don't smoke, I get pissed, I get ornery. If I'm playing like a game, I'll scream at Link or something like, and it's like, no, why is this even a thing? Why did I start doing this? I actually wish that my drummer was here like right now, because he also smokes cigarettes, and I'm trying so hard to get him to quit because he's 16, and I'm like, dude, you are so young, like, just stop.
Stop it now before it becomes a problem.
Like, I promise you'll only be pissed for about a day tops.
Yeah.
But like, fuck, dude, if you keep smoking, you're going to wind up like me. Fucking coughing up shit in the morning, getting pissed off whenever I don't smoke. That shit's whack.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what's been going on since the last time we talked, because it's been a minute.
So, playing in my band still. We're booked up until damn near December.
Nice.
I actually haven't had to book a lot of those shows too. We got asked, and like, I'm all like, oh, cool, rad.
It's nice to get offers.
Yeah, it's a lot more fulfilling than, hey, can I play at your place? Sending out emails and all that.
Well, I mean, you went through the hustle, the grind that goes with trying to get yourself out there, trying to get people to listen. You went through all that. Mm-hmm. So this is just, I mean, the rewards of the hard work.
Yeah, and it's super cool when random bands from out of state or like out of country will hit up my email or in like my band's page, and they're all like, hey, we heard of you from like X, Y, and Z. You want to play this show? We liking your stuff a lot. And I'm like, we suck, but thank you. And yes, we'll play.
Yeah.
So there's that. I started working at the airport. Working around a bunch of dudes is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've been called a retard a couple times, and then, some dude, he saw I had purple hair, and he was all like, what's up, James Holmes? And I'm all like, yo!
Oh, fuck you.
You are whack! Like, I miss being called Kurt now.
Yeah, no shit. James Holmes is not a good... That's fighting words.
Yeah, I got a little annoyed. And luckily my supervisor and overheard it, and he pulled me in the office, and he was all like, hey, that's on like acceptable. I'm going to make sure that something happens with that guy. you are a very intelligent person, so don't let anyone making like you feel any differently. And I was all like, dude, you are fucking rad.
Yeah, it's good to have a boss that'll have your back on things. It can be rare.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked a lot of fast food jobs and dishwashing and shit like that. And the bosses were usually not great. I got a pretty decent boss now, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm in love with the IT tech support kind of shit that I'm doing, but my boss is okay. So, I mean, it definitely makes it easier, but there is definitely a thing about working around, quote unquote dudes.
Yes.
Who are, Jesus Christ, it can really get toxic. You see the way that people still are, and I mean, I don't know about you, but I've gotten to the point where I guess I kind of expect that from people, and I just go, for the most part, I just block it out, and it's, I don't have to get to know you,
Yeah.
We don't have to be friends for me to work here.
Yes, most certainly. I mean, in a setting like that, I have no other choice. Like, I won't see in you in 2 hours. So why do I care what you say? Somebody at work, they'll say something rude, and it's all like, all right, I don't have to talk to and you. I don't have to be around in you. I don't have to associate myself with and in you.
Yeah.
But definitely gives me something to talk and shit about in my art.
Yeah, for sure. I've come around in a lot of ways to looking at people like that. When they say something so fucked up and you just look at them and you say, what happened to you?
Yeah. Where did you go wrong in your life?
Yeah.
To where you feel it's okay to be little in someone over being indifferent.
Yeah.
People can't help what they are. Then you have Trump and these fucking assholes who are taking away all of these trans and rights and as well. And then I hear people being all like, oh, it's okay, and they're not people. It's all like, what?
Yeah.
And so there was this guy on Facebook, this S'more name. He was bitching because he's being tired of being called a straight, cis, white male. And he was like, I choose, and I call and you by and whatever pronouns you would choose to go by. And then he put in parentheses, which I think is stupid. And I'm all like, dude, are you kidding me? You think that somebody's preferred pronouns is stupid?
Yeah.
And he was all like, well, it's a choice. I'm all like, no, it's not. What these people identify as is who they are.
Yeah.
It's not a choice. Are you going to walk up to a gay person and be all like, oh, hey, you chose to sleep in with dudes? No, they didn't. Get out of here with that.
Yeah. I would go even one step further. And the step further I would go is, what if it was a choice? So fucking what? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not. The thing is, you don't have to understand something to be compassionate about it.
Yes.
You don't have to understand it. You just have to believe someone when they tell you, this is who I am, and this is what I believe I am, and these are all the reasons that I believe that. They don't even have to tell you that much.
Yep.
You just take people at their word. People will tell you who they are.
Yep.
And all you got to do is believe them.
Yep. Most certainly. And then he wanted to go on, and he was all like, well, I didn't choose to be a and like cis, straight and male, and I was all like, no shit, like
Right. That
That's
should be
why-
your aha moment.
and that's why people are calling you a cis, white, straight male. Like you want to feel marginalized so fucking bad, and take it from somebody who is marginalized, even in the slightest. Like, it sucks. It's not a badge of honor or anything and like that. And there are a lot of straight, cis, white dudes who feel that, oh, they're say like attacking on on like our culture. It's like, what fucking culture?
Right.
You stole it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I would argue maybe there is an attack on that culture, but it's the toxic culture that's being attacked.
yes, it has nothing to do with a dude who wants to go out fishing, or like he wants to go and lift and weights, whatever. That's fine. It's toxic masculinity that people are combating at this point. It's the fact that, and I'll even use a dude as an example, since they want to feel so fucking marginalized. If you identify as a male, if you're male passing, if whatever, like, there is a stigma that you can't talk about how when you feel, and you can't talk about your emotions. You can't do anything like that. So that's what's being combated, and all of that was started by toxic dudes.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with you going out with a friend and grabbing a beer, or going and throwing a fucking foot in football.
Right.
It
Yeah.
literally has to do with how dudes are prone to be more aggressive, because that's what they've been taught. Like,
Yes.
it's combating the fact that it's defending dudes too. It's defending dudes with mental illness. It's defending anybody who has been a victim of toxic masculinity, and even those dudes who are like, toxic masculinity and doesn't exist. If you ever, this is what I always ask them. Have you ever been in a locker and like in room, and somebody comes over and just calls you a fag? Well, yeah, that's toxic masculinity right there.
Yeah. There's a fear involved in all of that, and it's a fear that's instilled in you from a very young age.
Yep.
And it's, we're living in a time period right now where these things are beginning to they're beginning to be pulled down publicly.
Yes.
Because they've been being stripped away at for years in the underground.
Yes.
But like any other social movement, like civil rights, gay rights, trans rights, all of those things start in the underground, and they work their way up. Mm-hmm. And this toxic masculinity movement, it's receiving its pushback because it's become public.
Yep.
And it's only a matter of time before it falls.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean it's going to be a fun ride. Because
Exactly.
we're in the time period now where the fight is going to happen, and the fight is when it gets ugly.
Yep. And
because that's when you ask society to change.
yes, and society is so scared of even the slightest bit of a change, and it's like, well, sit back and look at it like this. I'll use examples that I've dealt in with like right and like wingers online. I'll defend a feminist ideal, or I'll defend trans and people, or I'll I'll defend pro-abortion stances by saying, hey, if in like you have a dick you really can't talk on this issue.
Right.
Like, it's not your place to, oh, well, I like help make a baby too. Dude, go sit the fuck down. Like, it is not, yeah, it is not in your body at all. Like, this has nothing to do with men.
Yeah.
It is, or it is not, allow me to rephrase that, because there are trans men. If in, like, you don't have a, like, uterus, sit the fuck down.
Right.
Don't, like, just be an ally.
Yeah. Or you're allowed to have your opinion, but
I don't have to listen to
we don't have to listen
opinion.
to it. And,
Like,
and I honestly don't feel my thoughts on this are if you're a pro-life male, that's your prerogative. Until I hear you're legislating. And now that's a problem.
yes.
So you can have an opinion that's gross until you're doing something to hurt people with it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to step in and have a problem. Because I've known a lot of people in my life who were, man, I don't even know how to phrase this. I mean, growing up where I grew up, just about everybody was, even the even my best friends who were, called faggots and, had purple hair and played in punk bands and everything. There was a bunch of shit in that community too. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all had bits and pieces of racism and sexism and homophobia in us.
Yes.
All of us that we weren't even really aware of because we thought we were the good guys.
Yep.
So we can't be doing racist things or homophobic things or sexist things. We didn't think we were capable of it because, we were the evolved people.
Yeah.
And then you learn to identify those things in yourself and start kind of, okay, I did that. That's, I need to own that and move forward.
Yes.
And so that's a thing. But I knew a lot of people who were like, let's say homophobic. A lot of homophobic people who would probably still vote for gay marriage or things like that because they were like, yeah, I don't believe in that, but, it doesn't hurt me. So it was like kind of a weird thing. It was like you're sort of an ally, but you're kind of not.
You're
because
a
they're
fence walker.
Yeah, totally.
Now,
I'd rather have more fence walkers than people who are so entrenched in their ideas that are going to hurt people.
And the thing with somebody who's walking the fence is they can go either way at that point. And with the right convincing and with the right dialogue in place, you can convince them that, hey, hop off that fence and come on this side.
Yeah.
Because here's and why.
Yeah.
This is important. Here's why you should care about this issue more than what and like you would do. But again, it stems back to toxic masculinity, because the second you try and have that dialogue, here comes a dude like, oh, well, I gotta do X, Y, and Z to help with this kid and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it's still not.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand what you're talking about. And if we can get, and I don't know how you would even go about this, because you would have to, again, it would be a societal structure change.
Yeah.
And people are just so fucking scared of that.
Well, and society is a big ship. It turns by degrees, and that's the unfortunate thing. But it's, everything kind of moves. Progress is slow. It's fucking slow. It's like how people see some, like a band as an overnight sensation. they're a 10-year overnight sensation, 5-year
Nirvana
overnight sensation.
in like nutshell. You go and read like Rolling Stone articles about them, and they'll call them an overnight success and all that, without realizing that after Kurt Cobain recorded Nevermind, that dude was sleeping in his fucking car because like he got evicted because he didn't pay his rent and at his apartment, and he went back and saw all of his shit just sitting outside.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the first time he wound up homeless either. So none of these bands are exactly overnight successes.
Yeah. It takes years for money to come through when it comes to like the royalties from record sales and things. It takes a couple of years sometimes before they'll see a dime. They might get an advance from the record label, but they might not. Like there was a band out of Denver. I think it was Air Dubai. They were a band out of Denver. They got signed to, I think it was Fueled by Ramen. But the dude still worked at Illegal Pete's. It's like he's making burritos. And he's on a record label.
So I've shown people my band and all the articles and shit written about us at like work, and they'll look at me and they'll be all like, "Why are you working here?" I'm all like, "You think that music actually pays the fucking bills?"
Yeah.
Like, the only way it's going to pay the bills is if you're someone like Dave fucking Grohl.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that anyone is going to get that big again.
No.
Or at least anyone in rock. Rock is a very, I don't want to say stale, because it's not. I've heard a lot of good shit coming out, but like, rock was never meant to be in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And I think Nirvana's a perfect example of that, because look at what he went and did.
Yeah. And it's funny. There was an interview with Dave Grohl where he was asked about that. And he said, of course we wanted to be the biggest band in the world until we were.
Yep.
And then we didn't want it anymore.
Yep.
Every band wants to be the biggest band in the world.
Yes, most certainly. Like,
but you don't want all the responsibility that comes with it.
Yep.
You just want to make your fucking music.
That's another misconstrued thing about rock stars and bands. They'll say, I'll use Sonic Youth and Nirvana as the example. Kurt Cobain, if you've ever looked at his journal, would constantly write about, I want to be a rock star, I want to be the biggest band in the world. He would constantly talk about it. There was sketches in his journal of music video ideas that wound up in heart-shaped box, but they were supposed to be for In Bloom.
Yeah.
Like, dude worked hard to get where he was. And then you read stuff about Thurston Moore and how he wanted to be one of the biggest bands, the most influential bands, one of the most influential acts with the guitar, like, and he succeeded. But you have the media who want to go around and label them as slackers because it makes them looking more appealing.
Yeah.
When both Thurston Moore and Kurt Cobain were far from slackers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they may have had a lazy vocal delivery, quote, lazy. I think it's pretty hard to fucking scream like Kurt did. But, there was nothing lazy about their work ethic. They truly wanted to push their art into the mainstream to get people to look at a different style of music, and it worked. Like Nirvana, Mudhoney, and Sonic, and Youth, and the Melvins, and Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden, etc. They all became like the top of iceberg. They were the peak of what rock was, and but there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that.
Right.
You add Eddie Vedder, and I'm not really a Pearl Jam fan. Like, I find their music to be kind of boring, mostly because Eddie Vedder sings like, so I'm like, whatever. But I have a lot of respect for that band with their ethics.
Yeah.
They single-handedly shot themselves in the foot, went in front of the Supreme Court to combat Ticketmaster, and basically got themselves blacklisted, and were still successful.
Yeah.
Like, Eddie Vedder did not like that fame, and he made sure some of it died down by doing what he did. But he also set a precedent for people like myself. You can be successful and do it in your own way.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that Kurt Cobain showed. That's another thing that Thurston Moore showed. Like, I mean, well, I don't know if Kurt Cobain really showed it. Like, he definitely shot himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's an ending. But I mean,
he chose it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
he went out his own way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's making a choice. But I mean, that's a choice that I know we've both been faced with. So how do you come out the other side of being a suicidal person and getting yourself into a situation where you've got to learn how to manage with everything that's going on? I mean, how do you cope with things?
Fuck, I'm still learning how. So, I realized I'm a nurturing person, so I got a dog. I really like creating stuff, so I got a guitar. I like making noise, so I got a bunch of distortion pedals.
Yeah.
So I found what I truly like doing, and I do that. And I know that sounds simple, but it's really not. Like,
no, it's definitely not. There's layers to that.
I played in numerous bands in D.C., and I hated all of them because it wasn't what I wanted to do. So for a while, I thought that music wasn't my thing. Then I went and started my own band and started writing my own stuff, and I was all like, oh, I actually like doing this.
Yeah.
Then I've always had dogs ever since I was like a kid. And I've always known that I really like being around dogs because they help center in me whenever I'm sad or whenever I'm down or I'm having an anxiety attack or something. So I got a dog. Like, and I don't like it when people say, I'd rather hang out with and like my dog than people.
Right.
But there are a lot of people I'd rather hang out with like my dog than be around them.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who I truly enjoy being around. My bandmates, Nick and Jackson. The person I'm living with now, Kevin, and Celine. There's people who I think are just super rad. And I don't know. You take it day by day, like.
Yeah.
you'll be feeling great one day and then wake up the next morning and be like, well, I want to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I still get that too. I mean, even starting, taking this medication for the first time in, over a decade. I needed something because I was getting to the point where I was actually entertaining. I'd be driving in my car and just close my eyes on the highway. Like, you can't do that.
yeah.
And when you catch yourself doing that, it's time to talk to somebody.
That is very fair. Like, walking across, like, Colfax or something, and I'll see a bus, and I'll be all like, wonder if I should just stop.
Yeah.
And, like, whenever those thoughts are being entertained is when you would know, okay, what do I have to do to make myself feel better so I don't go out and harm myself or put someone in jeopardy because I'm harming myself? Like,
right.
Then it's literally just a day by day thing. Like, I don't always succeed on not entertaining thoughts.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, it seems like you do because you're here.
yeah, most certainly. But what I'm saying is I don't always succeed at not having them.
Yeah.
And I don't always sit there and not write songs about wanting to die. I don't pitch to and like my band because I'm like, oh, these lyrics are fucked.
But it helps to get that shit out.
Yes.
I mean, you got to get it out of you somehow,
Yes.
especially if it's. I mean, you want to talk about toxicity. You can be toxic to yourself.
Yes, and that's also a male thing. That's something that males pushed. Again, because we are taught not to, and people in general are taught not to speak about their emotions. So we are left with ourselves to combat these fucked up negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And the old saying is a true. You are your own worst enemy. I'll post a video of us playing online or something, and my first thought: people are going to hate this and talk all the shit in the world about me, and that's never the case. I'll go out and I'll play a show. And I'll be all like, somebody's going in to throw a fucking beer at me. That's actually almost happened when I played an open mic at a like redneck bar. Did not go over well.
Yeah.
But I'll have that thought, or just something negative, then our set winds up going over very, very well. And I'm like, okay.
But how much of that do you think is an actual probable reality, and how much of that is subconsciously your own thoughts about yourself?
Subconscious. I think all of it is.
So how do you combat that?
Suck it up and do it. Whatever happens, happens. Like, whenever I get those thoughts and I'm on stage and then I'm looking out at the people and they're looking at me, I typically put my hair in front of my eyes, like, so no one can see me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then whenever I'm singing,
it's a defense mechanism.
I'll look up at the lights or I'll look straight at the mic. Then when I'm just thrashing around and playing guitar, I wind up just looking down at the floor and like banging in my head
Yeah.
and jumping around like I don't pay attention to what people. I get into a mode where I think I'm in my own room.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't it weird to have that thing where you want more than anything to get on stage and perform for other people, and at the same time, people are terrifying?
Yep, it's the biggest struggle of a artist. Like,
yeah.
You want people to see your stuff. You want people to hear your stuff. But then you deal with those people, and you're like, yo, you all are overwhelming as shit. I don't know any of you. And if I wasn't playing in this band in the first place, you wouldn't give a shit about me.
Right. And I don't even know if I would be here if I wasn't on stage.
Yep.
I had that exact same thing. For years and years, I had, what I would consider to be like a crippling social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But you get me on stage. I performed in plays. I loved being in the theater. Theater was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I performed in plays. I was in punk bands. But I was scared to go to shows.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to a concert that I wasn't also playing at until I was 30.
Really?
Really.
Interesting.
Because I was terrified.
I mean, that's fair, though.
Yeah.
I turned 30 in a month.
Yeah.
And my first show was actually when I was 16, but now I'm all like, if I'm not playing, my social anxiety is way too fucking bad. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, your band is great. If we wind up on a bill, I'll stick around the whole time.
Totally.
But like,
because then you've got a reason to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it gives you a pass.
And then there's people in the music scene who take that too literally, and they're all like, "Oh, you just don't," and like support something. No, it's like it has nothing to do with that. I don't think you understand that people are different. They have different quirks. They have different things that make them tick. Like, if somebody who likes going out to shows who's like 17, 18, who's dressing like Sid fucking Vicious,
yeah,
versus somebody like in myself who I've done all that.
Yeah.
And most of the people who ask me to come out to shows are kids playing in punk bands, and I would love to support them. Yeah. But I don't care about off-time punk. Yeah. And I don't. It's not even that though, because I'd go and support a shitty off-time punk band. I've done it before. Yeah. I've done it with and my friends and bands before, but
we've all done that. I mean, shown support for people who are cool playing music you don't care about.
Yep. Yep. And I'm tired.
But being around people is exhausting.
Exactly. If there was a way I could go and I could just speak with the people I wanted to, and not have someone come up to me and be all like, "Oh, you're Chris Mercer, you play in Sliver," and then I'm all like, can I just not come out and see my friend play? Yeah. Or even when people don't do that and they come up and try and talk to me, I'm all like, I don't know you, and I'm not trying to be rude or nasty or something like that, but I can't force a conversation if I'm not feeling having a conversation in the first place. So it's like, what do you expect people like us to do? Yeah. Just go around and be all like, "Oh, well, fucking your social anxiety. Come out and see my off-time punk band."
Yeah.
And it's all like,
I mean, you could wear your on-stage persona like armor.
Yes.
To go out. But even that is an act.
So, one of the Denver music historians was talking to me one day because I was beating myself up, and he was talking to me on Facebook, and he was all like, Chris, you know how there are people who have an onstage persona who fake it, make it seem like everything's okay? And I was all like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, you don't do that. When, like, and you go on stage, it's who you are.
Yeah.
You are honest. You're brutally honest within your performance. You're putting your emotion, your heart, your anger, your frustration, your depression, your anxiety on the line. And people could ridicule you for it, but you still do it. So, whenever I've thought of you as a musician and I've thought of your band, I've never been disappointed because you're incredibly honest on and off stage.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, that means the world to me. Thank you. But it's
So how do you get yourself through even like something as simple as, going to work and having to deal with people in that kind of a context?
I think of my dog.
Yeah.
Like, I think of having to take care of her, and then I think about having to pay for my band stuff,
Yeah.
and keep a roof and over my head, and I wear headphones a lot. I'm not supposed to wear headphones on the ramp, but like, I got these earbuds that like
Yep.
throw up underneath my hair and all that, so you can't see shit.
Yeah. I do that too. The headphones are a shield in a lot of ways. And they're, I just broke my headphones, and so I haven't had any for a couple of days. And so I've been kind of, I try to get out with the medication. My favorite side effect is all this weight gain. So now I'm out trying to exercise, to keep myself up and keep those serotonin levels as high as I can and all that. So, taking the dog for walks and stuff, no headphones. And I realized how exposed I feel to the outside world.
It's easier for me whenever I'm walking my dog and I don't have headphones, because I focus on the way that she walks.
Yeah.
Because she's stocky. She's kind of like in your dog.
Yeah.
So whenever she's excited and she's trotting, because her back legs are so muscular, they look like little chicken legs, and she's waddling, and she has this like goofy smile on like her face, and I'm all like, you are fucking rad.
Yeah. Well, and dogs will show you the world. I mean, it's infectious the way that they're out in the world and they're excited just to see the grass, the trees. What's that over there? And it's good. It can help you kind of get out of your own shit for a little bit. So, I mean, are you on any kind of medication now?
No, I honestly think I should be, because I gave myself a stomach ulcer because of stress.
Yeah,
and
I used to get those too.
I need to, and when I was at the hospital because of it, the dude was all like, "You're 29, and you gave yourself an ulcer because of stress.
Yeah.
What the fuck haven't you been through in your life?" And I was all like, "You got a couple hours?" And he laughed, and he was all like, "I'm not saying this to be condescending. You may want to get a counselor.
Yeah.
You may want to get someone you can speak with." And I'm all like, well, fuck. I thought I was over this. Turns out, no. And I don't think that anyone ever gets over it.
No, and that's the thing that's hard to learn, is that it's, your growth as a human being is never over. Unless you get defiant and say, I am done growing and learning. And we know a lot of those people, and they're the people who are, advocating for men's rights and, shit like that. Those are people who decided, I know everything I need to know, and I will not learn any more.
Yep.
You can't make me.
Yeah.
So, it's a process. And for people who are intelligent and sensitive to the world around them, it's going to hurt. It's going to be a painful process, and there's nothing that can take that away, but there are some things that can help make the passage a little easier.
Yes.
So talking things out with somebody always helps. Having people in your corner that you can talk to always helps.
Yep.
And if those things aren't enough, and you can't even handle yourself when you're alone, you might want to think about some medicine. Maybe medicine is going to be the thing. Maybe you have some belief systems that are in place that need to be checked out. That are going to cause you some real problems down the road if you don't handle it.
I think one of the things that, at least recently, has led me to have a lot of, I guess, mental anguish is I'm coming to a grips with the fact that I have gender dysphoria that I've never really dealt with until recently. And I'm like, oh shit. Well, this is a thing. And yeah, I've thought about it a lot, like, over the past few years with my aversion to masculinity as like a whole. And it's funny because I always thought that is there something wrong in me? Because I don't want to go over and punch my friend in the fucking chest.
Yeah.
Or is there something wrong in with me because I'm scrawny and I don't want to go out and play football, and I'd rather create or do art or pet the fucking dog, and no, it's just it's coming to when the grips with, all right, I may have gender dysphoria, rad. And
let's add that to the list.
And it makes it easier because I really haven't talked about it much. You're the fifth person I've mentioned it to.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
you're still really trying to figure out even how to navigate the language of what you're going through.
Yep. So I'm like, yeah. A lot of it's helpful because I have a lot of trans people in my life too.
Yeah.
Who I can be like, hey, what does this mean? I'm having this thought. Can you explain it to me? And it's a little bit more relieving, but even my trans friends I don't really talk to about it a lot. I internalize a lot of shit, and a lot of it has to do from when I was a kid and everything I got taught.
Yeah.
You're a man. You don't speak about your fucking emotions. It's like,
right.
God damn.
Yeah.
What? So, yeah, it's just been interesting, and then with everything I'm learning about not only the gender dysphoria stuff, but everything I've already learned about toxic masculinity, acceptance, more leftist ideals, etc. And I go out in society and I see all these people who just go by the motions. They don't question anything. They don't they follow their strict capitalist guidelines, their strict gender roles and everything. And I'm like, I mean, that's cool and all, but like, I don't relate to, like, go out to a bar and see a bunch of dudes and a bunch of women hanging out shooting the shit, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care about any of this.
Yeah. This isn't working for me.
And, again, I really appreciate the fact that I'm getting to the point where I can actually talk about it. And I'm glad I'm getting to the point where,
well, talking about it will help you sort through it.
Yes.
Because you're allowed to try out a few ideas before you figure out where you land.
Yes.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not sure where it is you're at. Mm-hmm. You might have to go through some things before you know.
And like, I've written songs too about this. And like, about me not fitting in, like, being weirded out by masculine dudes, like, just wanting to be able to do my own thing and like coexist with people who I just don't even want to talk to in the first place. Yeah. Like, and this is another thing I wish that people would understand. You don't have to talk to somebody to coexist.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of random people get mad at me because they'll say something and I'll just be like, okay, cool, and then start walking away, and they'll be like, oh, you're a fucking asshole. I'm all like, what do you want me to say? You want to sit here and have a conversation about the fucking weather? Like, yeah. I don't care about small talk. You came up, you told me you liked my band or something, and I said thanks. Like, I don't want to sit there and have a conversation. I don't want you to try and psychoanalyze me. I had this lady at this last show I played. It was on Wednesday. We played with Princess Claw. They're fucking rad. And Galleries and the Jollies from like Chicago. All of those bands are dope. But I had this lady come up to me, and this happens a lot. She just started like touching me, and I'm all like, yo, don't touch me. I don't like that. Like, you haven't even asked, like, just don't touch me. And she was like, okay, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then she was all like, so how do you write songs? And I'm all like, I don't know, I pick up a fucking guitar. Like, what does this even matter? And I have a lot of people asking me too, yeah, how do you write songs? How does anyone write a song? I don't fucking know. Like, people are different. Like, I pick up a guitar and start making noise until it sounds good. Yeah. Like, I don't know. And then I'll have them ask me super personal questions about my beliefs on stuff, and I'm all like, yo, I don't want to get into this conversation with and like you. I'm not comfortable enough to talk with a random stranger, which is weird because I'm on the podcast, but like, yeah. I've had a lot of good people vouch for and the first time I came up here. And then, again, I've talked to you before, so...
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a random stranger anymore.
Yes. And,
I'm a known stranger.
Yes. It's... I wish that people could understand that, hey, yeah, I play music. I guess part of it is to entertain you, but a lot of it is for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you come up to me and tell me, oh, great set, cool, thanks. Like, you're just stroking my ego, rad.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you think I suck, because, like, I'm not doing this for like, any and of, like, you. If you enjoy it and you get whatever out of it, cool.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I was able to.
Bonus.
Yeah, exactly, rad. But, I mean, I guess a part of me does want to give people hope, too. But that doesn't mean I necessarily want to sit and talk with them about...
Yeah,
like,
because that's still a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the transaction is this. I'm here to play. You're here to listen. And I can hope that you're going to get something cool out of this, but I'm not requiring you to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you should require me to give you more than this.
Yes.
This is what I'm required to do, and nothing more. And please don't ask me to do more than that.
Yes.
I completely understand that.
And it's one of the most frustrating things, because I also have a lot of the punk kids who come up to me too, and I'm all like, I mean, I'd rather you, like, people like them come up to me, but, like, even then, I'm all like, I don't care about your Sid Vicious looking ass. Like, I just want to play, and I want to go home and decompress and see my dog, because I just put a lot of emotion in out there.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people don't understand, too, that musicians are 9 times out of the 10, the reason why they do it, especially at an underground level, is for some sort of release.
Yes.
Cathartic release. And that's why a lot of the bands, when they first start out, are heavy as fuck and they're angry.
Yeah. They're really trying to get something out.
Mm-hmm. And if people would realize that, hey, yes, I just played this set. I'm working stuff out myself. Just give me some space. And honestly, if people would give me at least 15 minutes after, like, we played,
Yeah.
before coming up and being in all like, hey, great job, etc., I'd be a little bit more receptive, I guess.
Yeah.
But
you need a minute. I mean, there's something about giving yourself in a way that's completely authentic. You know, bearing your everything in an artistic way to an audience that can be, I mean, while it is emotionally satisfying, it's also really draining, and it stirs a lot of shit up. I mean, like, when I have conversations with people here, like we're having right now, I internalize a lot of that. I take it in, especially since we're getting into some heavy shit. And so, I mean, I have another human being rattling around inside me after they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to decompress,
Yep.
or I'm going to be useless to everybody around me.
Yep.
And to myself. I mean, even when it's an excitement or wonderful, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
And you've got to be given time to process that before you can be expected to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a tough thing to explain to people in that moment, because if they catch you in that moment, they're going to catch you off guard. It's a little like catching an animal with its leg in a trap.
Yes.
You know, it may bite you.
Yes. It's like that old saying, let like sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why that saying's a thing, if you go up to certain dogs as they're sleeping and you touch them, they're going to bite the shit out of you.
Right. Could be the sweetest dog in the world, but
it gets
you know, there's a
spooked,
time
like-
and a place.
Yes.
So after a gig, you know, do you typically try to find a way out the back door to go have a smoke or
Yep.
something? Yeah.
Yep. I
It's probably for the best.
make a BA line to whatever door I can get out of to go walk down the street and go smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
I get my gear off stage as fast as I can.
Yep.
And then I just go.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and walking down the street's probably the best way to do it because, I mean, people will accost you otherwise.
And I don't do that as much anymore, which I probably should because I now have someone in my band who's, like, underage, and I don't want anyone to, like, messing with that kid.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit harder now for me just to walk away and go smoke a cigarette. I still get that opportunity, because again, Jackson smokes too, so
yeah,
he'll fucking,
yeah, and that's probably not the best way to get him to quit is to say, "Come smoke with me."
I actually typically, well, do I? I can't really. I don't know, but like, I really need that moment to just sit back and decompress after playing like a set because, like, I don't know if you've ever seen us.
Yeah, I've seen you.
And
it's been about a year, but I've seen you.
Yeah, I go nuts.
Yeah.
And I throw stuff, I break stuff, like, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, I'm flailing around, I fall on the floor, like, and none of that I'm doing is theatrics. Mm-hmm. That's literally me getting out my emotions and my frustration and my uncertainty. So I honestly don't know why people think that, oh, let's just go up and bombard this person. Like,
I get it. I know why.
Why do you think?
I think it's because you're compelling, and people just want to be close to that and find out what else is going on. They want a piece of it, is what it is. Mm-hmm. They want to have a moment. You know, they get to the point where the music, the people who decide that they want to talk to you after you've played were reached.
Yes,
that's what happened, and those people are much like, after I'm done talking to somebody and they've got somebody rattling around inside them. They've got you rattling around inside them and they don't know what to do with it other than to try to connect with you and figure out what it is. You know, there's a connection between you and the audience. And that's what it is. They want more of it. Or they want to figure out how to dissipate the lightning.
That's actually fair.
But it's also difficult because you also got something from them, and the thing that you have is making you like, I need you to back the fuck off.
And like,
it's a weird dichotomy, you both need each other in a strange way.
And I don't tell, like, say if a kid comes up to me and they're all like, because I've had kids say this, and they'll be all like, you inspired me to start a punk band. When I hear that, I'm all like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I actually did something to, like, inspire somebody who's younger. And I'm never a dick to kids like that. And I wouldn't say
kids are disarming.
And I wouldn't say it's me being a dick either. It's just like, if I have some random 20-plus year old person coming up to me and trying to talk to me after my band set, I'm like, yo, like, I mean, yeah, I'm glad you like my music, but I wasn't exactly doing it for you. Like I said, I it's hard to put into words too. Like, I appreciate it. I appreciate people liking it. I appreciate people enjoying what and like we do. I don't know. I just don't really care about some 20-plus-year-old person coming up to me and being all like, great fucking set, unless it's a musician who I have and like respect for. But again, a kid coming up and saying that is much different. Because it reminds me of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard bands like Bad Brains or like Nirvana, if I could have sat down with Kurt and said all the things that people say to me after like we play,
yeah,
I'd probably do it too.
Right.
Like, so I can't blame anyone. But like, I also, surprisingly enough, watching shit about like HR and Kurt Cobain and Mark Arm, etc. after shows.
Yeah.
They were a lot more personable than like me. Because like, there are times I've straight told somebody, leave me the hell alone and stop fucking touching me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you're a different person than they are.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's a different person.
Yeah.
But how was the rest of your band at dealing with people?
Jackson turns everything into a joke. We had these like dude bros come up to us on Sunday and give us compliments, and myself and Jackson don't really like people like that.
Are you kidding? You reached dude bros? Like you broke through the exterior.
So like they came up to us and they were all like, "Yo, and you all fuck. You all fuck hard," and I'm all like,
what?
Okay. And then they kept talking about their dicks, so they kept telling Jackson he quote fucks on drums, and so Jackson looked at them. Again, this kid is 16, and he said the most witty shit ever, and he was all like, I'm an incel, I don't fuck. And they like looked at him and were all like, nah, dude, incels fuck. I'm a like incel, I fuck. And I died laughing. I was like, yo, oh my God. So like, and Nick, our bassist for and the moment, he takes it pretty well. He's pretty good at taking compliments. I'm the only one who really sucks at it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, let the bass player be the diplomat. You know, send the bass player out to the people. I've met a lot of bands that do that. You know, you all have designated roles. You know?
Yes.
Somebody's the den mother, somebody's the diplomat, and then there's the artist. And you know, that's your part. That's your job.
And
so how is your band dealing with everything else? I mean, it would seem like they would have to be pretty supportive, especially coming to them with gender dysphoria issues.
Oh, they were super cool about it. Like, I spoke with Nick and Jackson about it on Wednesday, actually. I let them know that, hey, this is something I've been thinking about, and they were like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Did they seem particularly surprised?
No. And
They
Jackson
probably know you better than most people.
And Jackson also plays in another band called Endless Nameless, and their front person is trans. Is trans. Again, I with gender dysphoria, you don't exactly know if you're trans. I mean,
yeah.
Well, you do, but you don't like. I mean, I'm at this stage where I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's non-binary or full-on trans.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, I don't know, I'm just figuring this stuff out. Like,
yeah.
I'm leaning more towards non-binary though, with they them, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've never really been a big fan of gender roles in general. Like,
Sure.
a dude can be nurturing, a woman can be like aggressive. Like, there doesn't these roles that like society puts on us. It's super whack.
Yeah.
I've never been. I've never enjoyed that, and I think that's also why I get annoyed with those dudes who are all like, "I'm tired of being called a straight cis white male." It's like, dude, that's what you are. That's not.
Yeah.
No one is insulting you.
Right.
Like, why do you need to feel marginalized?
Yeah.
Like, it's not fun. Like, that. No one who is actually marginalized wants to feel marginalized.
Yeah. You know, I don't know where I would have landed on things, honestly, if I was born in a different time, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, I went through the typical thing that people do, but I went through it in a different time period. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was the typical teenage struggle of, you know, am I gay or just excited? You know, am I a bisexual person? Mm-hmm. Am I a lesbian in a male body, or am I something else? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I ever really nailed any of that down. I just kind of discovered after a while to just sort of pick and choose the things that made sense to me, mm-hmm. and just live with it.
Exist.
And, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my wife and I, we talked about it like before we got together, and it was just sort of like, I think I identify as the closest thing I had to understand it. I was like, I'm a bisexual person, mm-hmm. who leans toward women. Mm-hmm. But if we're in a relationship together, we're in a relationship together. That doesn't change.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I can be attracted to all kinds of people, but I'm making a commitment to you. And she was like, yeah, cool. I mean,
Rad.
It is what it is, you know?
Rad. It's
like, all right. And so it's something that I don't know. I mean, you know, I know a lot of people now who are just openly trans and gay and bisexual, and those weren't things that were even really around me much when I was growing up in the city in Michigan I grew up in. You know, I always kind of instinctively knew that treating people like shit for it was wrong, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what any of those details were, because I didn't have anywhere to get the information on what that was. And I think that that's what's going to be helpful to this next generation of people, and why more people are leaning towards non-binary, because non-binary seems to make the most sense for an old person like me. Mm-hmm. The place I landed on it was sex is the binary that you're born with. I mean, there are outliers, but technically at birth, it's just a defining set of organs. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. It's just that.
Yes.
But that's not gender.
Yes.
And so treating sex and gender as the same thing is what we've been doing forever and ever and ever. Mm-hmm. And it's now being challenged, and people are like, I don't want to have to learn a new thing. Like, well,
you're not learning anything new.
Right.
This is and the way it's always been.
Yeah, it is the way it's always been, but it's not the way we've always done it.
Yes.
And that's what's throwing people off.
Yes.
You know, it's almost like you're asking people, you know, when you're asking people to use different pronouns, it's almost like you're asking them to convert to the metric system.
Yes,
It's not that fucking hard.
It's-
It can get a little tricky in the beginning.
Yes.
My one of my kids has come out as non-binary, and they said they wanted to be referred to with the pronouns of they and them, and at first that was difficult, but it was difficult because it had been a lifetime
Yes.
of he, him, etc. But when I meet new people and they tell me,
It's super easy.
it's so easy.
And I think the hardest thing with me when I first met somebody who was trans was because we were so accustomed to basing our judgment off of appearance
Yeah.
that it took me a little while to grasp she a her and
Yeah.
not he a him.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the person who I was engaging with at that point in time, and I was talking to, I was friends with, because that's when I first started questioning stuff, and I was like, well, I don't think that I would be full on trans. I don't know, and I first met them when I was like 21.
Yeah.
So this has been like a long going thing, and like I've always introduced myself as he, him, and like, but I don't know, as I'm getting older and I'm starting to think about it more, I don't know, I just...
Well, and the best thing about that is you don't have to know. And you are fully within your own autonomy to change your mind at any given time, because you are allowed to be you. Mm-hmm. And you should be allowed to be you. Whatever version of that is. If you're going to be fluid and go in and out of different states, depending on what mood strikes you, that's your prerogative. And that should be anybody's prerogative. And it's so much easier to just accept people as they are.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot more work to try to categorize and put people in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to just hit that level of acceptance. Even if, and I'm not even saying understanding. You don't have to understand. Just accept it. Just say, this is how this is.
Yeah.
This person in front of me is saying that they prefer to be called she, her. Great. Got it.
Yeah.
I accept that.
Yeah, most certainly.
He, him. Got it. They, them. Got it. It's not that difficult. And so, as you go through what you're going through, it's good to know that you've got people on your side, and that society is at least beginning to change enough that there are going to be places that are easier to express these ideas in than others. And so it's a tough thing to talk about as far as addressing your identity, even sexuality. Those are hard things to discuss publicly. Mm-hmm. If you're outside of the norm. And so I can't thank you enough for being open with me and having a conversation about it, because it's not a thing you get with, let's say, males, masculine people, insofar as we are, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I'm really happy that you came to talk to me today.
I always enjoy coming and talking to and like you. I had fun the first time. You're a real... So myself and Rachel, after I did the interview with and you, and the first time, I messaged her and I was all like, he is so easy to talk to, because it's not that typical questions I get from music interviewers.
Yeah.
Like, what made you write this song? Why didn't you name it this? Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. Discussions like this are something I've always enjoyed. There's another interviewer in Denver who, he's a Denver music historian. I don't know if he would want me to put his name out there because he's kind of a private person, so I don't want to say anything. I actually think you may know him, though. He's the only other one I like doing interviews with. Every other time I've been hit up, I'll do them, but I'm like, well, it's time to make up some bullshit, so these people have no idea, like, the same music and the same music guy I'm telling you about, him and I have an inside joke about whenever he writes about my band, he has to talk shit about us. So I'll send him stuff to say about us, to talk shit about us. We'll come up with it as we're talking online, or we're talking shit on like a Facebook book post. He's called us Korn. He said that like we started off as like a Korn cover band. I told him to call us Diet Nirvana. I told him to call us Nirvana Light. Put my name in there as Kirk Copenhagen. Just random stuff.
Yeah.
And like, oh, his most recent one, I hope he does it soon. I told him to give us a comparison to a puddle of mud. So, because there are certain people I don't want coming out to our shows.
Yeah.
And the people who know me know how sarcastic I am. So if they read something like that, they'll be all like, oh, I bet Chris had something to do with why this got said.
Yeah.
Then the normies, if they happen to read it, will be like, "Go fuck that band," and I'm like, "Good." So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for talking to me today.
Anytime, Chris.
Chris Mercer. Really interesting, great, good-hearted dude. If you want to find out more, go to sliver2.bandcamp.com and get yourself some music. If you want to see him live, and I guarantee you do, 4th of July, they are going to be performing at the Seventh Circle Music Collective. And if you have never been to an all-ages show at this punk rock haven in Denver, Colorado, what are you doing? Get yourself down there. This is a perfect time. They're also playing July 17th at Glitter City Nights. And you can get Coffee Over Suicide on the Radio Public app now, and that every listen gets me a little bit of money, keeps the lights on, but don't give your money to me. Go to soxplace.com, soxplace.com, and give to them to help youth homelessness end. And don't kill yourself out there.